Modhani Arogosho Adoagai. We hope you guys are doing good. Happy Friday. So I'm reading a book called Holy Habits by Mimi Wilson and Shirley Cook. And there's a section that I would want to read for you that is blessing my heart. So yeah, let me do this. What's in your hand? Psalm 90 played a significant role in my thought life during those days. Moses was speaking to his people, affirming that the Lord had been their dwelling place for generations. The verse that became my daily prayer was, "Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." The verse 12. I asked God, who has the perspective of eternity, to teach me how to make today count, to show me how to use the precious gift of each day purposefully. My heart's cry became, "Teach me to number my days aright. I long to know your perspective on this day. Don't let me waste it in insignificance. When I'm in tune with your heart, I am in tune with your wisdom." The last verse in Psalm 90 also captured my attention. Establish the work of our hands. That was what I wanted. I wanted the investment of my life to pay dividends in the lives of those around me. I realized I could spend my life wondering where it had gone and where I was going, or I could make a conscious effort to spend it purposefully. I learned from Moses, a favorite Bible character. He had been an example to me as I read of how his knowledge and understanding of God grew throughout his life. When Moses had his first recorded encounter with God in Exodus, God asked him, "What's that in your hand?" Moses replied, "A staff." Exodus 4:2. It was a simple answer, but loaded with meaning. That staff was a significant part of Moses' life. It was probably nothing elaborate. Maybe it was only a heavy branch that he had smoothed out of his use, but it represented Moses' identity, who he was, what he owned. God asked Moses to lay down the staff. For him, it meant a releasing of all that he was into the hands of God. Only then could God really use him. Through the events in my life, God was asking me the same question he had asked Moses. "What's that in your hand, Mimi?" As God also worked with my heart, I realized I needed to take an inventory of all that I was and how I was allowing God to use me. I knew that God was asking me to lay all these things before him in obedience, to acknowledge them as gifts from him as the eternal and sovereign God. By the end of this 2-year period, I had clarified my lifetime goals. I determined to become a woman of worship, prayer, peace, and wisdom. Contentment rounded out my list. I now knew where I wanted to end up, but where was I to start? On a page in my notebook, I wrote my list of goals. On the top of the next page, I drew a horizontal timeline. Age 32 was the starting point on the left. I was looking ahead to the end of my life, determining who I wanted to be when I got there. I wrote age 80 at the end of the line on the far right. At the rate I was going, however, I felt sure that I would lose my mind by then. With my list of lifetime goals in front of me, I began to plot how to achieve them. If I wanted to become a woman of worship, I had to start worshiping God today. I set aside one morning a week for worship and prayer, a commitment I continue to this day. I thought that this would accelerate my spiritual growth, but the first morning I found that I didn't know what to do. My mind kept going around in circles. Worship was supposed to flow. Something was wrong. And then I realized I don't really know God. How can I pray or worship if I don't know God? In my conversation with him, I could go no deeper than my understanding of who he was. Mine was simply a surface conversation. I knew that godly people prayed and worshiped God. But when I set out to follow their example, God showed me how empty prayer and worship are when they aren't the response of a heart devoted to Him.